You're listening to the #1 podcast for nonprofit leaders, getting your nonprofit fully funded. This is the Fundraising Masterminds podcast. All right, well, welcome back to another episode of Fundraising Masterminds. I'm your host, Jason Galicinski, and my co-host, Jim Dempsey.
Hey, everybody.
We are so glad that you're here, and this time we are going to be talking about Underwriters.
Absolutely. Jason, we couldn't help but be controversial on these. Well, it's controversial because it's outside the norm. We hear so many people will have one particular way of thinking. We've talked already in the past broadcasts about big name speakers, about table hosts, about tickets and tables.
Well, this is one of those topics that, you hear this very often about why underwriting is so important.
Got to do underwriters.
Oh, yeah, because, if you're going to do a vision dinner or you're going to do a golf outing or any kind of event, really, you're going to incur expenses.
Got to get those costs
covered.
So
why not get, one of your big donors to cover the cost?
Take that off your plate. Yeah, it's one less thing to think about, one less thing to lose sleep about over.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about this for the next, 15, 20 minutes. So we'd love for you to stick to the end because we're going to talk about, the reasons why this isn't really the best thing. And we're also going to talk about some solutions to that.
Right.
But before we get into it, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button if you're watching us on YouTube, and click the little notification bell because we release new episodes for nonprofit leaders every single week, and we would love for you to catch the next one.
Don't want you to miss an episode.
If you want to listen to us on the go, you can find us on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify and other podcasting apps out there. So definitely look us up there.
People love listening to us in the car. It's kind of neat.
It's been really neat.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. And if there's anything that we say during this episode that stimulates a question, please write us a question in the comments because we will read them and we will respond, either text, we'll either comment back. We will read them and we will respond. We'll either write back or if it's a really good question, we might even bring you on the show. We just actually did that recently.
Use it on our podcast or put it in Jim and Java, somewhere like that. Yeah, absolutely.
So Jim, let's get into underwriters and sponsors. I have seen this. A lot of people will do a vision dinner without selling tickets.
Right.
They'll do a vision dinner without big name speakers.
Right.
They'll use table hosts. They're very close.
Two of the right things
We're
for sure to do.
We're very close to our model.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of things.
Yeah.
I would say there's probably like 10 or 15 things that you really got to do.
Should do. Yeah.
Well, a big thing that I see is very common across the board is this issue of underwriting, and it makes so much sense.
Finding underwriters and sponsors,
Even if I were just using common sense, I would just think, well, I'm going to have $15,000 of expenses.
Yeah.
Why not get someone to cover the cost of the meals? Or better yet, I could get some corporate sponsors, go to some banks, go to some local businesses.
Put their name on the program.
Yeah.
And,
I could put their name on the program.
I could name tags, anything.
I've seen events where they have banners, and they put the logos
with the corporate
on.
sponsors.
It's like they have different levels. They have if you have a gold level,
gold sponsor, silver sponsor, bronze sponsor,
and it's like you get different perks, right. So obviously, we have a problem with this, but
we do, Jason.
What is the problem we have with this,
Jason? Here's the thing. Bottom line is, it doesn't work, and in fact, it actually works against you.
It doesn't work, meaning that they don't give you money.
The underwriters and sponsors will give you money.
Okay,
that might be the good news. The bad news is, unfortunately, what happens is the classic way of asking for money at the end of the night in cases is that you will say, ladies and gentlemen, our goal tonight is $150,000, but I've got great news for you. We have a handful of individuals who have underwritten the cost of your meal, and we'd like to thank our sponsors tonight. Fred's Car Wash, Joe's Bed and Back Store, but all their costs are underwritten, so 100% of the money you give tonight goes to direct ministry. Sounds so perfect, so right, doesn't it? Unfortunately, what happens is we have found over the years doing exit polls, talking to people, finding out why certain things work and certain things don't work. We've found out that when people hear that, it is a disincentive for them to give. They think in their mind, my gift is not necessary because there is a corporate sponsor. They've got, this organization has people who have deep pockets, and those people are covering the cost. So as a result, they really don't need mine. In fact, my gift of $1,500, even $40 is not important to people.
Well, hey, if you know the bank owner and you know this business owner, you know that business owner, you should be fine.
Sure. The organization really shouldn't be having any problems. So why do you need my money? So what ends up happening in the long run is that you end up raising significantly less money. And what we found over the years, that even though the cost is covered, all that does is make you feel good. It does nothing to increase the giving from those in the seats. And that's what I want to do.
Right.
And underwriting and sponsor does just the opposite. It actually gets less new people to give. It gets less current people to continue their giving, and even less to increase their giving, because that money, you got those deep pockets.
Well, Jim, you've been doing development with one of the world's largest organizations, Campus Crusade for Christ, which is now Cru.
Right.
And you actually lead teams of people doing development all across the country, and you're in charge of 50 to 100 dinners a year.
Absolutely.
You've done personally 2,500 or more dinners in your lifetime. So you have a lot of experience. Raised over $1 billion using dinners.
Right.
And you've seen a lot.
Yes.
I would love to hear one of your worst underwriting stories that you have in the past 40 years.
Holy cow. Well, to be honest, I've got so many. Golly, I would say, one that just immediately comes to mind is I had an individual who was a real estate agent, and this individual really wanted to not only be an underwriter or sponsor, they felt like they really deserved time on the platform. And you can imagine, if I'm trying to stay on my program schedule, which is 2 hours and 15 minutes, I don't really plan for time for a sponsor to have time up on stage. But he kind of used his sponsorship and used that time on the stage.
Well, how did he get on the stage?
He kind of used, he wanted to promote his company, of course.
No, but how did he get on the stage to begin with?
He got on the stage because one of the ministry leaders agreed to give him time to promote his cause. He would agree to give $10,000 if he could sell his product. Essentially.
It was part of the deal.
Part of the promotion.
He had to get on the stage.
Yeah.
Did you give him a time limit or anything?
That is the horrendous story. He ended up getting up there, and I had told the leader to talk with him about only speaking for 2 minutes, because that's about all the time that we had to be able to do this. 20 minutes later,
20 minutes.
He finally finished, and probably upset most of the people. There may have been one or two people he didn't upset. I'm sure
he was speaking very much in line with the program.
Not at all. In fact, it was really just mindless promotion of a product, and
like a sales pitch.
That's exactly what it was. It was a sales pitch for a product, in that we are proud sponsors of XYZ organization. As a result, you should use our product, and you need to
let me take some time to explain
our product and why it is what it is.
I'm sure he made lots of sales that night.
Right, exactly. Well, not only did he hurt himself, he hurt the organization as a whole, because giving was down significantly because of a few factors. Number one, he went very long, just ate into the program. We actually had to cut a number of important things.
Probably cut the testimonies.
Just to try and keep it. Well, we cut music, we cut videos sure out of there, and things that would just motivate and encourage people. Even to keep us, we probably bought 10 minutes, but it's still at the end of the night, we were over 10 minutes over. And so it really hit hard.
Were you at that one?
I was. I watched painfully. In fact, there's a good chunk. I was going to say there's a good chunk right here. This whole chunk right here was gone as a result of that. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wouldn't have wanted to be there.
No.
You were probably pacing and saying, man, we got to cut this, we got to cut that.
Yeah. They had to repave the floor in the back of the room because I had paced so far.
Which actually brings up a good point. You would rather cut important things out of a program than go long. So you are so committed to the program being 2 hours and 15 minutes,
right,
that you would rather cut important things like testimonies and videos and things, because, I'd be thinking, well, we can't cut certain things because that's part of our whole, build up. But you actually value people's time more than just a side.
It is, Jason, but here's the bottom line in that, unfortunately, the definition of important varies. There are things that I will have to cut out that really probably aren't as important as some people think. Choir of the kennels of XYZ dog organization who comes in and does a performance or a drama or creative thing. Sometimes we will have to cut those things that weren't necessarily as important as other things. But to get to your point, sometimes we do have to cut things to make sure that we stay on schedule. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I understand, the negatives of sponsor. Let's talk about solutions here.
Yeah.
Because I think we want to equip people. But before we get into that, let's hear a word from our sponsor, me. Wouldn't you love to take a vision dinner course and blah, blah, blah? No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying, Jason, that if you've got someone who helps you every year at $5,000 and all it takes is a 15-minute phone call to someone, that you shouldn't do that to get those. But what I'm recommending is that you shift the designation for them, that they are no longer sponsors and underwriters. They now become partners, which is more of a broader term. Now, people will say, well, Jim, isn't that just semantics? Are you just changing the name? Yeah. No, I'm actually asking them to just be an individual or a corporation that is listed as someone who comes alongside our organization but didn't underwrite the costs. We don't talk about underwriting the costs. We actually are taking away some of the benefits, such as a free table, because generally what we find at is that the sponsor really doesn't bring good qualified people at all. All we're doing is buying the cost for the meal on those things. Right. Now, what I actually ask them to do.
What is the definition of a partner?
The definition of a partner, the beauty of it, in a sense, is that it's nebulous. And what happens is that people don't necessarily equate that with underwriting and sponsor. Okay. They equate that as someone who comes alongside you. Right. And a corporation, a church, an individual who comes alongside someone is understandable. People get that, but it doesn't eat into that. Now, what I've found is that helping you with the costs, good negotiation, negotiating your price better, making sure that you get a direct bill so that all you have to do is put a deposit down and put that at the end.
We actually talk about that in our course.
We do.
How to negotiate.
Properly.
In our Perfect Vision Dinner course, we actually have a whole script that we walk you through.
We do a role play.
Yep.
In fact,
and
it talks you through
actually, this one lesson alone could save you $10,000.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And so that pays for the course right there.
Right, depending on the size of your dinner. Well, now here's the thing. Now, I mentioned that an underwriter or a sponsor actually is a disincentive for people to give. Yeah. I'm going to give you an incentive that's going to make people give. What I will say is, to that partner, I'll say, instead of using it to cover the cost, what I would like to do is I'd like for you to agree to allow me to use that as a matching gift. So what I will do is I'll put together a pool, depending on how big your goal is. We'll use the example of $25,000. I want to put together a pool of $25,000. I'd like you to give one of the 5 gifts that I need to fulfill that. And that way, that money is used as leverage to get people in the seats to give more. So if you aren't familiar with a matching gift program, you would, using the same scenario as earlier, we'd like to raise $150,000 at our dinner tonight, and I'm excited to tell you that we have a handful of people who have agreed to match every gift of $1,200 or more, or $100 a month, up to $25,000.
And those numbers are really important. They're not just plucked from air numbers.
That's exactly right. In fact, I discovered that if I provide a target for someone to shoot for,
Yeah.
that I'm going to get significantly more. Now, think about it logically. If I have someone who gives $40, well, they double their money to $80. That's great.
Right.
But if I could get someone who was thinking about $5,000 to give $10,000 with the match, that is significantly better. And I've found that if I take my critical few, that 20% who brings in 80% of the dollars, and get those individuals to give more, it was going to make a difference. So I found the number that typically works best. Now, every nonprofit is different, but you will find if you do your research that you've got little levels. There's a level at 500, there's a level at 1,000, there's a level at 2,500. And if you can get people beyond those levels, so if you have a lot of people giving 500, if you offer that your match is qualified for every gift of $600 or $50 a month, that will get people to give an extra $100. If you have a lot of people at 1,000 and you say we'll match every gift of $1,200 or $100 a month, that gets $200 additional dollars that you didn't have before. And so I'll continue to move people, and it's amazing when you watch the continuum every year. When I change and increase that level, people come up with me. So in other words, they qualified at 600, and then the next year I present 1,200, and they come up with me and give it to 1,200. Then I'll move it up to 1,800. They'll move it up to that. And the secret is that they are divisible by 12, evenly divisible by 12.
Monthly.
It allows you to have significant more monthly gifts. So using your corporate sponsors, your past corporate sponsors who are now partners, asking them to provide a matching gift will provide leverage that underwriting and sponsorship will not do.
Well, great tip. Great tip.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we're not saying get rid of them, or we're not saying it's bad. We're just saying there is a different way that they can be more effective. And hopefully you learned from this. And if you did, if this was just mind-blowing to you or you've never heard this before, please let us know in the comments. We would love to hear from you. And also just smash that like button and subscribe so that you get further episodes. And, we referred to our model a few times in this episode, and you can learn about that at our website, fundraisingmasterminds.net. We actually have a recorded webinar that we did a few months ago.
That talks about our curriculum, huh?
Talks about 3 common mistakes that nonprofits make, and also how we can get you fully funded in 5 months. And the way that we do that is through our Perfect Vision Dinner course. And if you want to learn more about the Perfect Vision Dinner course, head over to our website and check that out. I won't spend a whole lot of time on this because we're running out of time, but it's a great resource. And what I love about it is that we really personalize it. It's called the Perfect Vision Dinner because we work with you to craft the perfect vision dinner for you.
Perfect for you. Yeah, exactly.
And consulting services tend to be very expensive, but we've actually priced this fairly cheap. I don't think you can find a cheaper course or program with the amount of care and detail that we've gone to. So definitely check it out, fundraisingmasterminds.net.
Jason, I want to show my personal bias. In addition to the course, I also love, we've got a little package called Development Basics that I really like as well too. And that to me is, if you're starting out in development and you just want to know what are the important basics, boy, we've got that out there as well for you.
Yeah, Jim, I'm glad you brought this up because this Development Basics is really kind of a subset of our main course. It's part of our main course. We decided, wouldn't it be great if people could just take Development Basics if they don't have 20 weeks?
Nothing else,
at
learn
least
the basics.
Gets you started, right? So you're going to learn all kinds of mindset stuff in there, and it's really a 2-week course. We've taken all the development principles and put them in there in one package, and you can get access to that for as little as $97. So it's a great place to start, and it gives you kind of a taste of what the course would be like. Obviously, you're not going to get us, but if you're wanting to check out the course, but you're not wanting to commit.
It's a great starter. It really is. Obviously, the whole entire course would be, my personal best.
For sure.
But those development basics are great.
Yeah. And we go into all these points and more. You're going to learn a lot more in there. So, well, we're out of time for this episode. I learned a lot. And I hope that you learned a lot. Be sure to subscribe and click that bell because we are doing weekly episodes and we don't want you to miss the next one.
Right.
So, thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.